Yeah, he does really like egg tarts. I have had egg tarts in Korea. I didn't think they were that good. He's like in love with them. All right. Best of 3 for round 5. Round 5. Bottom left, it is Drogo. Top right, it is GuMiHo. GuMiHo coming off the back of his 2-0 victory over Cyril, which is pretty baller. When I was in Korea, I wanted to go out with the guys one more time before I left. So I was like, I'm going to see you before, I leave on Saturday. And they were like, yeah, we'll do something. So all of us agreed to, oh, GuMiHo's going for outside base racks. Well, we all agreed to go to Itaewon. And they were like, do you like Ethiopian? I was like, I love Ethiopian. I was like, yeah, we're going to try this new Ethiopian place in Itaewon. And unfortunately, that day was just the start of monsoon season. It was crazy. It was the type of rain that you could not avoid. It splashed back up at you. So we were all soaking wet and my shoes squeaky. It's very annoying. But finally made it to the place and it fits like max 15 people. And it was pretty delicious. It was good. But Ethiopian is not just because I have grown up eating a lot of vegetarian and vegan things. I think legitimately, even if you're a meat eater and you're one of those people that is like, meat's the best, I mean, I would never have anything aside from meat. I actually think that Ethiopian vegetable dishes are better than their meat dishes. Like, meat dishes are good, but the way they make vegetables taste, man, it's crazy good. So when they ordered, half and half, I was kind of disappointed because I was going to eat way more of the vegetables. The thing about Ethiopian, though, is that if you don't like the bread, you're pretty screwed. So, I've had 2 people try Ethiopian and just refused to try it again because they didn't like the bread. I fucking love the bread, though. Alright, so Drogo did not really overreact at all to the missing barracks. He just calmly went back and scouted around, saw the barracks, said, okay, cool. Knows there's a factory expands, so might be expecting 2 Reapers and a Hellion. And it's going to go into a Stargate. What's wrong with the bread? If you've never had Ethiopian, then first of all, bread is a very deceiving word for it. Second of all, injera is a sour sponge bread. Yeah, definitely not the bread you're thinking of. It's sour and spongy. One Adept going down doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but with a 3rd Reaper actually joining in, it kind of is. Suddenly another Adept goes down, you haven't killed any of these units yet, you're wondering what went wrong in your life. Okay, Hellion finally went down. Ah, and the Oracle pops out perfectly timed. If the Oracle had maybe been rallied across the map, Drogo misclicks, doesn't actually send it back home, the Adept is still chasing the 3 Reapers. There could have been 6 probe kills, but Oracle popped out at the exact right time, so mitigating some of that damage. And GuMiHo has followed up, not with the starport, but right into the barracks. And, yeah, lifted his outside the base, not actually proxy barracks. Like a funky pancake? Yeah, I could see pancake actually being a better word for it, but I don't think there's anything that really describes it. It's really not like anything I've ever tasted. But it's weird how much pancake has, or has always been, I guess, a more, I don't know, not specific term. Growing up as an American, very much the expectation is that it's the fluffy pancake from IHOP. Then you travel around the world and you learn that Europeans generally consider it more like, basically like a bit more than a crepe. But then depending on which European country you go to, it can be a little smaller, a little thinner, it could be a little thicker. Just depends. And then you go to Korea, and they proudly call their pajon, or any type of john, a pancake. And I don't think anyone would agree with that. The Europeans and Americans alike would just be like, this is a fucking pancake, you lied to me. And they'd be like, well, it's a savory pancake. And it's like, what the fuck is that? Yeah, like a savory crepe. Oh, okay, I guess. Well, it's not just seafood pancake. It's all types of stuff that goes into it. But yeah, that's an example of one. But alright, a couple SCVs go down to the Oracle. Oracle lives. Good stuff. GuMiHo is moving across the map, however, already. This actually is a very disjointed attack. Going for speed over actual amount of units. But it kind of works out. Drogo engages, manages to take out the tank, which is pretty important, but there is still so much left over that the sacrifice of units might have been too big. A lot of the Stalkers and their depth went down just for that one tank. Another one sieges up yet again. 2 Cyclones bop most of the Oracles, and the Phoenix does lift the tank. It's not actually going to cause it to die. There we go. Last couple of hits from the Stalkers, and Drogo is doing one hell of a defense. This has been very scary. This entire time it was very scary. Imagine one less shot on either one of these tanks. They're still shooting away here. God forbid there was ever 2 tanks at once. And Drogo just had barely enough to hold on. Shield battery, barely enough to cover enough units. Very close indeed. That also, I think, was him scouting prior to the engagement. Seeing that it was starportless, that it was emphasis on the barracks does open up the opportunity for an attack like that. So Drogo didn't take any time, you know, building faster into Blinken +1, building into a Robo. He built a Phoenix as opposed to just staying on 2 or 3 Oracles. All of those things really helped. So, good reaction there. Oh, I don't know about pulling the probes. Oh, boy. I guess there really was no escape for the probes at the end of the day. And now the main base is going to be under attack. 14 probes go down as GuMiHo takes a 3rd CC. And although Drogo was doing a good job holding a very, very scary push, even before he lost the 14 probes, to be honest, the rest of the situation wasn't looking too hot for him. Just kind of banking a little bit there. Oh, no saving the tanks. That's something. Down in upgrades. GuMiHo's going to have an upgrade lead for sure. He would have had for, what, 70 probes to 58, and that would have been a lot better, but he still wouldn't have had Blink, which then he also wouldn't have Charge. He's on his way to Colossus. He's on his way to Storm. There's a lot of things that were still missing that Drogo would have had to recover by time to get to, even if he had been able to save those probes. So at the end of the day, I think Drogo is still the one reeling. GuMiHo playing some pretty good StarCraft. American pancakes are the only way to go. Well, I absolutely think that is the case when you talk about pancakes as sugar dough with maple syrup poured on it. Like, if we're talking about that, then I think American pancakes reign supreme. Don't give me any of these, like, this shitty, thin pancake that some European country thinks is great. Don't put fucking jelly on it. Stupid Europeans. And then I also don't really like the Japanese pancakes, to be honest. The really, really, really fluffy ones. I've tried it. I tried the super insanely popular store in Toronto, actually. It was selling one. That's a cheesecake, wasn't it? But I tried that cheesecake and I was like, okay, whatever. And then I tried the fluffy pancake in Tokyo. And I was like, yeah, okay, I guess. But I was not nearly as excited as everyone else seems to be about that. Oh, crepes can be good. I mean, I love savory crepe. Or even occasionally a sweet crepe. But it's different. It's not pancake. I think it's the Netherlands that has the small, almost medallion pancakes. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna order pancakes. And I'm gonna get their pancakes served in front of me, and I'm gonna look the waiter in the eye and just glare at them. Drogo is now getting to his Colossus, something that I was really worried about for most of this game. And just take a medevac down too. GuMiHo has got a couple of things going on. Wouldn't mind the natural, kill 6 probes. Marine scouts the 4th base at least. And GuMiHo's supply is still awesome. He's gonna have upgrade lead once again very soon. So still actually a 2 upgrade lead, 2-2, just a +2. Drogo has to be very worried. Drogo has to play an impeccable game for the next 2 minutes so his supply can catch up, so he can actually move army around and split it the way that GuMiHo can. Honey lavender pancake, get out! No! First of all, I think honey is actually kind of gross. If it's an ingredient that is hidden, it doesn't taste like honey, I'm fine with it, but I finally tried honey as is, and I just don't, ugh, gross. And lavender? That's a freaking flower, get out of here. Your floral scents and flavorings, get the hell out. Drogo is trying his best to hold on 2 different fronts, but it's honestly still not quite good enough. Over on the left, down to just a single Colossus. Over on the right, the only reason he is winning is because GuMiHo is shy of medevacs. I think that's the only reason, but now GuMiHo realized he's got an opportunity. Drogo saw the opportunity coming and decided to press the get out of jail, not so free card. Still lost a bunch of Stalkers and a Colossus, despite how quick he was able to identify that, and GuMiHo is going to be able to clean this game up, man. Did not falter, did not misplay it. Well played from GuMiHo. GG. Yeah, I think honey is gross. You know, people are always saying, if you have a sore throat, put honey in the tea. I put honey in the tea, and it ruined it. Well, maybe you had bad honey. No, we've gone to, like, farmer markets. You know, it's the best honey ever. I just don't like honey. Someone asked if I could tell them about technical issues. I cannot, but it looks like they were aware of it anyway, so hopefully it's being fixed. Drink my teas without any honey or sweetener, is that weird? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is the way that tea is meant to be drank. Very Uncle Iroh in this situation. Bottom left, down 1. It is Drogo. Top right, we have GuMiHo. Honey's different. I mean, okay. You know, that's fair enough. I can't really argue that. But I didn't like the taste, and I hated the texture. The viscosity. It's cloying. I think is the right word for that. It just grossed me out. I have a story about bitter tea, by the way. Yet again, a story that's amusement is drawn from Fear Dragon's pain. So I hope you guys enjoy this. The first Fear Dragon pain story is his Bibimbap story, which maybe I'll tell afterwards. But second one is we were in Tokyo. We went someplace just outside of Tokyo. It's like a old shopping mall that has a bunch of old video game things. So I was going there to search for Final Fantasy stuff, and he just, you know, kind of tagged along. So we were there, and we walk in, and the first thing that we see is a tea store. And it's this really authentic tea store, right? And some like literally 90-year-old man was selling his tea. He's clearly very, very passionate about the tea. So we're looking around, and Fear Dragon says that he wants to send tea back home to his family, you know, which is very nice of him, nice gift. And he doesn't know what's what. And we can't ask because this 90-year-old Japanese dude definitely doesn't speak English. So Fear Dragon just decides to pick one. And Fear Dragon points at one. Like one of the ones that's like on display. It's like a big box, you know, it looks nice, whatever. And he says, you know, can I have this? And the Japanese owner looks at him, looks at the box, looks at him and goes, and just like shakes his head. It's like, yeah. He says, no. And Fear Dragon was just a little taken back, and I was also taken aback. Because I was like, oh god, are we gonna have some racist shit to deal with right now? And the guy wants to start speaking in Japanese, but kind of knows that we're not gonna understand, so he starts speaking and kind of pointing and trying to be really like, you know, emphatic on certain words, and we're just like, what? Pure coincidence. A woman who is American but speaks Japanese walks into the store, sees the struggle that is at hand, and translates for us that the owner thinks that the tea is too bitter, and there's no way that Fear Dragon or anyone that he knows will appreciate it. So he should get this sweeter tea instead. Which is very understandable, and that guy was really looking out for us. But I just love the idea that, one, we thought he was about to be racist, and two, that the tea is too bitter for the foreigners. Yeah. Alright, so what has happened in this game? We did have another factory expands, this time going up into a medevac immediately in tank production. Not really the map that I would expect a tank push so early on. But I wouldn't have guessed it for last map either. Seems like GuMiHo is still going to do it. This time Drogo has opened up with a Twilight Council, adding on a robo and perhaps looking towards that third base. Yeah, 2 gateways all we're gonna get? Yeah, third base then taken. Now, I certainly don't think you would call it racist. I'm sure, I think the tea was literally so bitter that you would, you know, if he could communicate, he'd be like, oh, do you really love bitter tea? I'm sure he would have even checked if there was another 90-year-old dude coming into the shop. Fortunately, I can say that I don't think we've experienced any racism. I've experienced a little bit, but yeah, very, very much not. That was a really weird drop. That was not what I was expecting. A tank drop that sieges up for 2 seconds, gets a shot, and then runs the heck away. Yeah, you know, I always talk about this. Not always, but I'll bring it up again. Single tank drops aren't really scary, because single tanks aren't scary. Probe surrounds can deal with tanks, and, you know, there's 2 Marines covering it, so what's it gonna do? So it really is usually about abusing a position. So if a tank sieges up here and then a bunker with 2 Marines is also added on, well then that is obnoxious. But if you put a drop in the middle of the main, even though there's some SimCity to work around, it's usually not that big of a deal. So I'm kind of a hater on these types of builds. But on the other hand, GuMiHo did just go, whoop, gotcha. And ran away, so, you know, whatever. He has tanks and he has a medevac now, and that's what you want. Nice timing on the Raven. Is it similar to White People Hot you told us about? I don't remember telling you guys about that, but I know it exists in different restaurants. They'll be like, here's a white person hot. I know for a fact that certain people I know have asked for white person hot. High Templar looking for the feedback. Don't die, High Templar. But the tanks are already sieged, so I think the opportunity for the feedback's already lost. This is all without stim or combat shields, but it's just enough buffer to cover the 3 tanks, and that is what makes this so dangerous. Now more stalkers come in, and they do have blink, so I think they should just blink on top of the tanks. Well, maybe now it's too late. And the on siege happened then as well. GuMiHo saw it coming. It was already after a couple more stalkers had died to the tank shot, so that did not look good at all. And of course, had he blinked immediately, it might still not have been a good trade, just to be clear, but I think that was his better chance. Now he's gonna lose, maybe not the game actually, but he's gonna lose a lot. Yeah, good pick up with the Warp Prism, trying to salvage the situation. The Raven goes for some harassment in the natural, gets a couple extra probes. Marines dive on a couple extra probes. And GuMiHo now leads the worker count by 4 while getting his 3rd CC finished, turning into an orbital. Stim is going to finish up. Combat show's a little ways off, but Drogo doesn't really have enough army to do a counterattack. So there's really no fear here for GuMiHo. I think the story I told about White Person Hot was the, that bronze girl. She made a tweet making fun of the options at a certain restaurant. Because it said white soup, like white tofu soup or something like that. And she thought that it was making fun of white people. And I just had to. I had to be an actually person. That bronze girl, it's literally her name. She did a bunch of shows with In Control back in the day. Anyways, I explained that that just meant that it was white broth. It was white broth. It wasn't red. There's no gochujang in it. Not that it was for white people. Big drop of the main base as Drogo once again is put in a position where he has to play perfectly to actually recover. Light Templar doesn't quite get the medevac. The fresh one comes back in to heal up more units. Oh, GuMiHo. Oh, you silly. You so silly. GuMiHo's so cool, man. He should be wearing my glasses. Gonna lose the medevacs now, but did successfully delay charge, so he's trying to take advantage of that over on the right. Been hitting this point for a while. So far, Drogo's been able to defend, so well done, Drogo, but that is where GuMiHo is now rallying forward. All of his production going to go to that side, and Drogo is at 1/3 of the army supply. No upgrade to speak of. They only just started on some pretty vulnerable forges as well. And the overcharge is already used, so we know how this is going to go. Upgraded bio versus unupgraded stalkers with no shield battery to help out. Close our eyes. Visualize what's happening. And if you're visualizing straight up murder, that's pretty much what's happening. GG.